is AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. And I'm Will Washington. And that, right there, is the one and only Aubrey Edwards.
Hello. For full context, because we're just all down for breaking kayfabe on this podcast. I literally landed from Revolution about 20 minutes ago, so I'm exhausted. My arms hurt.
Hey, I almost did the same.
I sprained a toe.
Look, I almost did the same. I almost, because LA traffic, trying to get out of LA, I was on my way in my Uber to the airport. And I realized I'm not going to make my flight because 20 minutes suddenly turned into an hour. And so I was like, okay, not going to make my flight. And I decided to switch my flight. And then as we were getting closer, I'm like, I actually think I could have made that other flight. And so I switched it back and was able to board my flight with like 2 minutes to go. I actually would have just been running in here had I not done that. But yeah, we are just fresh out of LA. And of course, don't forget, AEW Unrestricted, presented by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph memorabilia and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. And look at us, folks. I got the AEW Allure collection. These cards are amazing.
Super shiny.
Super shiny.
We're doing a real unboxing, are we?
Yeah, I'm about to open up a pack here. Oh, and look at that. Right off the bat, of course, she's on the pack, but I pull out one three-time AEW Women's World Champion, Hikaru Shida.
Speaking of world champion, and I'm sure we'll talk about this extensively, I just pulled a Tony Storm card.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that.
We've got to talk about that.
A guy who is truly shining in every way, Mr. Shane Taylor.
Oh, dude, he had a great match on the pre-show.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got
Lee Moriarty in here somewhere.
I'm gonna text him this card. Let's see who else we got.
Have you been doing that where you bring cards to work? Like, hey, I just pulled this to view.
Yeah, I texted Bad Apple Brian Keith the other day and showed him that we got his card. Because for a lot of these guys, these are their first trading cards, and to finally get to see them in action, it's really cool. And so yeah, I always anytime we come across one in these Upper Deck collections, I always make sure to show my friends backstage who we came across.
I actually brought two to Prince Nana on Sunday morning before the pay-per-view. I was like, I have something for you. He goes, I know what it is. I'm like, I swear to you, you don't. And then I pull out two cards from the Allure deck that are super shiny. And he's like, I had no idea these existed. And it's just a really cool thing that it's like, these are real people in real life. And then there's just these cards with our faces on them and stuff. It's an interesting thing.
That is exactly why I make sure to show people dude, you are immortalized now. You are officially on a trading card. And I just think that's really cool. But yeah, we just came off of AEW Revolution. It was at Crypto.com Arena. And, as a native of Los Angeles, would you believe me if I told you that was my first time in that building ever?
Really? I've been in that building before you?
Yeah. So I left Los Angeles before that building was opened. So I had only ever seen Lakers and Clippers games at the Forum.
Gotcha.
I had which we've run quite a few times. I love the Forum.
That's our stomping ground. I love the Forum.
But I had never, ever actually been in the former Staples Center, Crypto.com Arena. And as I walked up, I see the Kobe statue in front. And I was like, you know what? I hate the Lakers. But it was really cool to see a building that so much history was made in. It's like, this is the house that Kobe built. And so it was actually kind of cool to walk in there and see this building and how much history exists in here over those last 24 years that it's been open.
So this building was really great, and there was so much that I don't think most of us even saw of that building. Like one of the things that I do whenever we go to these buildings is I look for like the locker rooms. So
Hmm.
while we can't go in the locker rooms, like they have these like miniature Stanley Cups outside of the LA Kings locker room.
Yeah.
And then there's some other stuff outside of the LA Lakers ones. So I had a quick chat with Chris Manzioni, who we have had on this podcast. Shout
Yeah.
out to our mental health department. And his like office for the day was like somewhere off in a random part of the building. He's like, yeah, just follow me. We go up this elevator. And then we're down this wall, and it's all of these historic photos of people who have been in this building. Like you've got Magic Johnson, you've got like you got guys who are famous Lakers who maybe aren't a part of that building's history, but are a part of the franchise's history, right? And you've got all of these championship celebrations. And I'm like, oh my God, here's Lady Gaga, here's Jennifer Lopez, oh, here's Drake. And I kid you not, like 3 down and around the corner was a photo of Kendrick Lamar. And I'm like, I think they did this on purpose.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, honestly, it was just cool to be in that space. And then as the fans started making their way in, it was just a reminder that I am in Los Angeles. Seeing the amount of influencers and people who were who were there creating content. It was quite an experience. It was a who's who of celebrities. Some never even made it on screen, but it was a who's who of celebrities who were backstage, who were in attendance, and it was a really, really fun experience, and one I think I'll never ever forget. One of the matches that you and I both worked on was Swerve versus Ricochet, and one of the highlights of that match ended up being Leslie Jones.
Oh my God. Can I tell you? There was a point, I think it was in the middle of the heat, where I like radioed into the truck. I was like, can we please have the actress in front hard camera side? Please sit down. She's a little distracting. And they're like, we've tried. I was like, okay, cool. Leslie Jones is going to town, man.
I mean, look, honestly, as into that match as she got, as I am watching, like I was almost afraid the fans were going to start chanting for her because she was becoming such a highlight of the match. But everything. I think I was very happy with how all of that turned out. And the robe, I was actually kind of nervous about, honestly, because Ricochet making modifications to it to Prince Nana's actual property.
Yeah, I kind of vomited a little bit when I saw his logo on the back of it. I was like, this is a travesty.
Yes. And it's like, this is a thing that, if you've ever seen Prince Nana at a convention or anything like that, like, it is something he takes with him. It is something that he very much takes a lot of pride in. That is a shoot. That robe means a lot to him. And, to make that modification to it, definitely
disgusting.
like stung a little bit. And then, the amount of boos Ricochet got in that building, where as soon as his music hit, it felt nuclear. I thought it was fascinating. I was having a conversation with Jay Farrow backstage, and he just kind of notes that he's like, wow, AEW fans really hate Ricochet. Like, it really shocked him that was the case. And, it was, there was such a great story, I thought, told throughout that match. And, but then on top of that, it was like, the vertebraker on the table, on the announce table that made my skin crawl, and of course there was the tope into the Death Valley driver, like all of that, and of course just I was out there watching the match, but I was also watching you, and because like you have so much fun when you're out there, and it's like hearing the crowd going as crazy as they were going for nearly everything. Like Nana walking out on the match, they were so furious with
I was heartbroken watching Nana walk away. I'm just like, you can't have Swerve without Nana. This is like the pay-per-view, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm legitimately sad.
And then he came back though, and I thought the moment after the match was really good in handing off the robe, and I could have been more pleased with how that turned out. And but of course that followed what I thought was an excellent opener in Max and Hangman. You know, these were two guys who, well, first off, Hangman, shorter hair again was that
He's
had
like
been
baby Hangman. He's so cute.
it threw me off all day when he first walked in the building. I was like, oh my God, the fans are going to eat this up. Like, you know how Hangman fans are, especially the female Hangman fans on social media. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a day for them. But I thought those two were that was the perfect match to open the show with. And especially having done the music video the day before on Collision, it was actually, I thought, really special to AEW's history to get to start off the show with two guys who have so much history in AEW that go back to the very first AEW event in Double or Nothing in the Casino Battle Royale. And it was just the action, the story, the drama, Max taking that angel's wing.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that alone, right? Like, that's one of the things that's so great about wrestling is you can watch an excellent match with two guys who are at the top of their game, excellent technicians, all that. But if you've been following everything up to this point and you see these little details like Hangman using an angel's wings, because he had that match with Christopher Daniels and Christopher Daniels is now retired. And there's all of these things that play into it. Like, that is the beauty of wrestling. And I think that's one of the things that AEW fans love that we're able to capture and whatnot. Like, I was at a Heels event the night before. We were over at Tom's Watch Bar by Crypto, one of our sponsors. And I was explaining Nana's robe because there were so many people who didn't know the history of it. And I was talking about Jimmy Rave and like his tragic ending and all of these things. And those girls going to the show the next day had this greater appreciation for it because there's all these little things that it's like, in the context of the moment, it's great. But when you know all of the other things that play into it, it just becomes even grander. And I feel like that's one of the things that we do really well and ultimately just kind of sums up how awesome Revolution was. And there's so much more to talk about because this is honestly, I think it might be hands down the best pay-per-view we've ever done. And we've got more to talk about here on AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted, we've got Aubrey and Will, and we're talking about the amazing pay-per-view that happened last weekend, AEW Revolution, coming from Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. I mean, maybe it's recency bias, but I'm going to say it's probably the best pay-per-view we've ever done. We just got done talking about Hangman and MJF, two of the awesome cards I just pulled from the Upper Deck Allure deck. Both of those guys were great. That match was great. We've talked about Swerve and Ricochet, which was great. Swerve is now our number one contender, which I think everyone's very excited about because Swerve did so much to elevate the AEW championship, and to have him back in the picture going into Dynasty, the pay-per-view where he first won the AEW championship. Like, it's going to be a very exciting next month here at AEW. So I'm pumped. I know I'm supposed to be unbiased and whatnot in the ring, but I'm currently not wearing stripes. So I can say I'm very happy that Swerve is back in this position.
Yeah. I thought it was definitely the right call. And for him to be in this position again, I think for Dynasty, like at the end of the day, like Dynasty is his show. That, I remember, granted, while I think the match most people remember from Dynasty last year was Ospreay and Danielson, I think that I remember, at most shows, as I tend to do, I tend to like sit in Gorilla as as fans are being let in, and from the moment the doors opened, it was whose house. Like, it felt like that was what all those fans in St. Louis were there for. And to have the possibility of getting to do that again in Philadelphia, that's going to be really exciting. That's a building that we're very familiar with, the Liacouras Center. So definitely get your tickets, AEWTix.com, because we've got some really exciting stuff in store for for Dynasty, and just
It's funny
you
because
wait.
you say that and I'm looking at you and I'm like, you know what we're doing.
I mean, look, pulling the curtain back.
I
Like
know,
I'm a
given
part
your
of the
role at the
creative
company.
team, and so yes,
I get it. I get it. But like as a fan, I'm sitting here, like as your friend, I understand and support you. And I'm like, cool, I trust that we're going to have a great pay-per-view. As a fan, I'm sitting here and going, oh my God, just tell me freaking everything. But like that's the beauty of wrestling, right? Is I have to sit and I have to wait and I have to watch everything unfold. But also that's the fun of it, right?
yes. Now, before the show officially began, we of course had the Revolution 0 Hour, and I have to say, the main was just a blast.
Can we talk about the Rizzler dressed as Orange Cassidy? Like,
That's exactly what I want to talk about because
good, great.
look, the Rizzler is such a fascinating human being, and for him to come out there dressed as Orange Cassidy and the fans going nuts for him, that was honestly one of the biggest pops of the night. Was seeing the fans getting to see the Rizzler, and then of course we had Big Boom AJ and Big Justice and Mark Briscoe, and I thought those guys all killed it out there. Of course, our buddy Orange Cassidy right here.
Yeah, look at that.
And our color flow card, by the way. So you've got the shiny cards, of course, but the color flow
Some
cards.
of them are color.
Yeah, color flow
dude,
cards are excellent.
Thanks, Upper Deck, for all the awesome trading cards. Really great.
Yes.
I saw some of this match. Not all of it, unfortunately, just because that's the craziness of show day, right? You're trying to wrap up everything and get ready and whatnot. The thing that I absolutely saw and popped so hard for was the power bomb to Mansoor, where he
Yes.
proceeded to sell it all the way to the outside. And my favorite part of it is I saw it and then I saw it all over Blue Sky. Just everyone is sharing this clip because it's so incredible, right? And I literally walk up to Big Justice and I go, dude, your power bomb was so sick. He goes, what? I haven't seen it. And I realize this is one of those moments.
That's a great
where,
Big
like,
Justice impersation, by the way,
what?
because
I haven't seen it. Right.
Talking to that kid, he's got such great energy.
So great energy. But it dawned on me like how old I suddenly felt because he showed me on his phone that he's only looking at TikTok and it hadn't made its way over there yet. But I'm like, oh no, wrestling's like over on these platforms instead. So I showed him the gif of his move and he was so excited to see it. And he's like, oh, that went so well. I'm so happy. And it was great. But yeah, I felt really old in that moment, but also very happy that I could like share something that I enjoyed with someone who just did something that was badass on pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was great. And like knowing how that came together all day for him to finally get to hit that power bomb was amazing. And I was just, but I went out there and I watched that entire match. There are lots of times where, especially during pay-per-view day, I just want to experience what the crowd is experiencing. And I went out there and I sat and watched that entire match, and they had everybody in the palm of their hands all throughout. I thought that was just a blast. Beforehand, though, Chris Jericho was scheduled to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship against Gravity, but that did not happen. And
brother. Can I tell you how sad I was seeing Bandito and Gravity's mother just crying, like just sobbing. And in my mind, I'm like, Chris Jericho, like there are now crosshairs on you.
Yes.
As soon as the match was over, I didn't see Chris the rest of the day. He was gone. And I'm sure like he probably was smart enough because like, dude, like when you've got family that is as tight as those guys, because I mean, Bandito and Gravity are brothers. And we literally just saw Jericho rip the mask off of Bandito's little brother. And Bandito and Jericho have this, they have this history, having, both being ROH champions. They had an incredible match in Phoenix a number of weeks ago. So it's Like, I'm curious to see where this goes because now I think Bandito has a whole new motivation behind
Oh
him
yeah.
going after Chris Jericho. And but yeah, we got to the back, and I basically just kept telling Bandito's mother like, "Lo siento, lo siento." Felt so bad.
You know, and it is Gravity and Bandito. Again, this is two of my favorite guys in AEW. And you know, talking about the significance of taking off someone's mask, right? Because like, you know, these are two people that we've seen quite a bit, but you know, it is protective in lucha culture to not show a performer's face. And Chris Jericho has made a career out of ripping off masks, and
Kind of an asshole.
yeah, he takes it back to WCW. He's been doing it quite some time, and you know,
I mean, it's one of those like, I've seen it sometimes like going to Wikipedia, which is like, you know, random people in the world can update Wikipedia as long as it's sourced, right? And a lot of times you will not even see the real identities of these luchadors called out there because it is such a important part of lucha culture that we maintain the secrecy of who these people are. And a lot of that is lost, I think, maybe on American audiences because that part of wrestling culture is so very, very specific to Mexico. And I was so heartbroken because Bandito and I are good friends. We go way back. First time we worked together was PWG, and getting to know Gravity and how wonderful he is. He's like Bandito, but even like more excited and happy, which is hilarious.
It's crazy to me how like you never meet two siblings and you're like, okay, I can see how those two might be brothers, and then you meet those two and you're like,
oh, they're
cloned.
brothers. There's no question.
Yeah, absolutely.
No question at all.
Like you have no question about those two. I think it's great. Other items to talk about on the show. I also wanted to talk about the steel cage match: Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. My God, look,
Dude.
I knew this was going to be insane before it started. I knew it was going to be insane at the start of the day. You could just feel it. You could feel talking to Kyle, talking to Will. It was like, okay, these two are going to murder each other out there. Even still, I didn't know how bad it was going to be.
My favorite part of this match, honestly, was probably the very beginning before the bell even rang, when you've got both the guys standing opposite each other on the top of the cage, because that's my favorite moment in wrestling, when you have the two competitors staring at each other from opposite sides of the ring and there's no physical touch. All it is just the emotion that the crowd is hearing and the crowd is feeling. And to see that just quite literally, no pun intended, elevated 20 feet in the air, I was just shocked. I'm standing there just in the back, like jaw on the floor, just, my God, this is insane. And they're supposed to go over 20 minutes. Like, what? Like, I'm already in shock that this is happening, that we feel this going into this. I think the part that is most memorable to me in this match is you have all of these things going on back and forth. You have a screwdriver, you have the barbed wire bat, you have all these things, right? And then the tacks come out, and we see Kyle Fletcher take a Styles Clash into the tacks, and multiple people backstage all go, "Oh, he just pulled a Chris Statlander," which is back.
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
Wore the chaps and very, very minimal clothing in her gear, and ended up doing these splits on tacks a number of months ago back at pay-per-view. And I just like that Chris Statlander now has this spot officially named after her. And I felt so bad for Kyle, and watching him pull tacks out of various places in the back with medical was like, yeah, no, that definitely hurt. That hurt. There was a lot of things that hurt in that match, but that hurt in a very particular way. So shout out to Kyle, and then by proxy, Chris Statlander.
And the Spanish fly off the top of the cage, that to me, it's one of those highlight reel type moments, but watching it in real time, watching the fans react to it in real time, it was something special. It's one of those moments I think people are always going to remember when they look back at like AEW steel cage matches. Like there's we always see the syringe in the mouth gif, and we always see Cody jumping off the cage. There's always something when it comes to our steel cage matches, but I think
This
that's
is the
one of
replay
those.
spot.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is that moment we're going to see for years to come.
I mean, we talked about on the podcast last week, like these are both guys who end up having like a very aerial move set. We knew they were going to jump off the cage. And I think even then, after having seen everything we did, I was still not expecting a Spanish fly off the top of the cage. And that is a testament to both of those guys as wrestlers that as a fan watching wrestling, as a hardcore wrestling fan watching this, the whole point of a steel cage is someone's going to jump off of it. And I was still surprised to see it. I was so captivated the entire performance that I was shocked when it happened and not expecting it. Kudos to both those guys.
Kudos to both of them. And you know what? We've still got a lot more to talk about here on AEW Unrestricted. It's Aubrey and Will, and we'll be back right after this.
Unrestricted.
AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will. We are talking about the excellent pay-per-view we saw at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. It was AEW Revolution, which always just hits it out of the park. I think last year's Revolution was one of the best pay-per-views we've ever done, and I think this year's Revolution absolutely topped it. I cannot talk about this show without talking about, and I mean, there's so many amazing moments in this show, and we're not going to be able to cover all of them in this podcast, but we have to talk about the Women's World Championship. Toni Storm versus Mariah May in the Hollywood ending match. I had so many people tell me, both in and out of wrestling, that this was the match that they were looking forward to. Because as we've talked time and time again, like this story has lasted for so long and has gone through so many twists and turns. And I was even getting my makeup done by Salem, who's the makeup artist who typically does Toni Storm's makeup. And we were just talking about the beauty of this story, how at its essence, it's a love story. And it's got betrayal and love and like romance in some cases, and just like it's so deep and it's unlike anything else. And it was just to see the end pop up was such a like I don't think I've seen a clear, more satisfying end to a blood feud that I can remember. It was beautiful.
And you got to witness this up close and personal. And as up close as one can get for something like this, I was actually very concerned for you as things were going on, and there were things on the ground, and
very sharp things.
Very sharp things. And I'm like, oh, she's going to cut up her arm again.
Yeah.
But tell me about that experience, being up close and personal with this match, getting to experience the fans who, this match had such a hot start. It was like go, go, go from the very, very beginning, and it felt like it never let up. Tell me a little bit about being a part of all of that.
It's kind of interesting. I've done a few Falls Count Anywhere matches now at this point, and the way the tone was set was that I'm standing in the ring and nobody else even got to the ring when I had to ring the bell and then leave, like because we immediately started on the stage, and we had Luther nearly fell off the stage because he was hit so hard. So not only am I concerned about the competitors of the match, I'm now concerned about Luther as well. You have this incredible table spot that happens off of the stage. You had all of these little callbacks too. You had Toni taking the pile driver on the stairs, which is the move that Mariah took back at Wembley Stadium when Mariah won the title initially. You had the shoe came back, the shoe that Mariah used to turn on Toni back at the Owen, and it was still covered in Toni's blood from way back in the day. You had like the brutality of this, just seeing the two buckets come up that both had shattered champagne bottles. And champagne has been an overarching thing throughout this story, right? The girls cheersing and drinking champagne and all of these things. And to see them now taping their knuckles and trying to punch each other with broken glass. There's like, I'm sure like every single one of my English literature teachers from high school, like if I went back and started writing essays and using this as like a way to like talk about storytelling and all of these things, like I would get A's on all of these papers because these girls absolutely told just an incredible story with it's the idea that you have this brutality in such a place that is so feminine. It's one of my favorite things about wrestling, that we are changing the way that people think about things. I remember back when like the first few major like no disqualification matches with women happened at AEW, like when we had Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And there was a lot of negativity online about how we didn't necessarily like that. But it's like, if you want equality, you actually need to let the women get bloody and get violent. Like that is actually what we're going for. And I think we've now, over the course of years, seen these women hit it out of the park. And I will confidently say I think it was the best match we had on the show. I think these women did a fantastic job telling a story. I think that they've done so much for women's wrestling through the course of this storyline. I went to the back and I cried. Like, I will be perfectly honest. And not just because my arms are all cut up from the glass that I had to count in. I do have all of my shots, by the way. I'm up to date on my tetanus, and I get blood work every 6 months just to check and make sure. But it was just so emotional and beautiful in all of the violent ways. And it's one of those things where it's like, I was so grateful to be a part of it. It was honestly like, and it was my birthday. So it was the greatest birthday gift I could have gotten, was to be a part of that.
That's the piece we haven't even talked about, if anything, is that on top of all of this, it was your birthday.
It was.
All day.
I had so many people that were like, oh, I'm sorry you have to be at work on your birthday. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the best possible outcome. Like, one, I'd rather be at work than on a plane, if I could be perfectly honest, because I'm on planes twice as much as I'm at work. So the fact that it worked out, that I'm at work, is great. The fact that it's a pay-per-view, the fact that it's a pay-per-view on the West Coast, and the fact that it is the pay-per-view that it was. But one of my favorite things also, just like a fun backstage story, I met the guy that played Poncho from Predator. He was in catering. Watching him do the Predator handshake with the Outrunners, by the way, is probably the coolest full circle moment that I saw during the day. But as they were doing this, he stopped shaking Turbo's hand, turned to me and went, "That was badass." And I'm like, this dude was in Predator. And that's literally the first thing he says to me when he sees me, is like, "That much was incredible. Y'all are badasses. I don't even know how you pulled all that off. That was phenomenal."
I think I agree with you wholeheartedly, talking about the idea that this was the match of the night. And I think on any other card, that would have been an easy takeaway. But to say that on this card, and for it to be true, I think speaks volumes to what Toni Storm was able to do here. Toni Storm is such a complete performer. Like, when you think about the prototype of a professional wrestler and everything you're looking for in a professional wrestler, I think Toni Storm embodies all of it. She is the professional wrestler. And I think Mariah May has proven herself to be a standard bearer in herself. And for these two to get to this level and to have this be a world championship match in this building, and to get to steal the show on a show that saw Kenny Omega take on Konosuke Takeshita, that saw Adam Copeland take on Jon Moxley, that saw Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet, that saw Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay, that saw Okada versus Brody King. Like, to know that we had this card and we saw these two do what they did, I think speaks volumes for the performance, the story, everybody involved. And you are one of those people involved, so hats off to everybody.
I was involved in all 3 matches of the trilogy, and I'm super grateful to have that. And I mean, it comes down to, it's great to see, like, these, you talk about the standard, right? Like, these women have raised the bar. And I don't think they've just raised the bar for women's wrestling. They've raised the bar for storytelling in wrestling. That this is now what we have come to expect. That we want this greatness because we know it is achievable, and we know that when it is done excellent, it is quite possibly one of the greatest forms of media. And I am excited to see everyone else step up after seeing what Tony and Mariah have been able to do over the course of, over a year of this. It was like, all I can say is bravo.
Bravo. And honestly, I'm excited for the next time we get to do this because we're going to get to do it in Philadelphia on pay-per-view. AEW Dynasty, April 6th, Liacouras Center. Definitely get your tickets, AEWTix.com, or check us out on pay-per-view on April 6th. We want you to be there. We want you to be a part of that show because, again, nobody does pay-per-view like AEW, and we just got to prove that again this past weekend at Revolution. Thank you for being a part of AEW Unrestricted. And by the way, friends, AEW Unrestricted is sponsored in part by our dear friends at Upper Deck.
Yeah.
Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024. Upper Deck AEW, and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph memorabilia and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. You can listen to and follow this podcast, AEW Unrestricted, at Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And check out the video episodes on our YouTube channel at AEW Unrestricted. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And are you an AEW insider?
I am.
Get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today at AEWTix.com. And don't forget, AEW Dynamite on TBS Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. and streaming on Max, and AEW Collision live every Saturday on TNT and streaming on Max. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. I'm Will Washington. She's Aubrey Edwards. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.